Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So today we're talking about something pretty much everyone encounters. Maybe something that feels a bit tricky if you're not used to it. Ordering food in English when you're at a restaurant.
Absolutely. And we've got this really helpful source guide here. It's specifically set up to walk beginners through that exact situation.
Right.
Focusing on those key phrases, the vocabulary you really need for dining out.
And our job, well, our mission for this deep dive is to really dig into that source material, unpack it all. So you feel totally ready, confident the next time you're hungry and you step into a restaurant where English is the main language.
It's definitely a key skill.
Getting good food, it's fundamental.
It really is. And what's nice about this particular guide, the source we're using, is how it approaches it step by step.
Okay.
It sort of breaks down the whole restaurant experience into manageable parts, which is, well, perfect for building confidence pretty quickly. You see the whole journey.
Exactly. So just going by how the source introduces itself, this deep dive, it's going to walk you through that whole process. Understanding the keywords, actually making your order, talking to the waiter or waitress, figuring out the menu.
And then handling the bill at the end, of course.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Right. So let's kick off where, well, any decent guy probably should. With the absolute basic language you're going to hear. The source dives straight into some essential vocabulary first.
All right, let's get into that. So the guide pulls out words like menu, obviously, table, waiter or waitress, order, meal, and then things like bill or check, tip, and reservation. These seem pretty foundational.
They are. They're not just, isolated words. They're really the building blocks for the entire conversation you'll have there.
Right.
Like knowing menu isn't just knowing it's a list of food. It's knowing that's the thing you asked for. Like, can I see the menu, please?
Or what they'll hand you when you sit down.
Exactly. It's central to that first interaction.
And the guide makes a point about the difference, or, well, the option between bill and check.
Yes, that's a really good example of practical detail. Bill is super common in the UK, Australia, places like that.
Okay.
Whereas check, that's what you'll mostly hear in the US. But crucially, they mean exactly the same thing here.
Right. It's the paper you ask for when you're ready to pay.
Precisely. Just a small regional difference.
Little things like that are so useful. And tip. The guide includes tip.
Yeah, tip is about the service, that extra bit of money you might leave for the staff who serve you.
Okay.
Now, the source just lists the word, but it's worth, mentioning that how tipping works varies a lot between countries.
Oh, definitely.
In the U.S., for instance, it's pretty standard, almost expected. In other places, maybe it's already included in the price or just not the custom.
So knowing the word helps you understand that part if it comes up.
Absolutely. It's key to navigating that final part of paying.
Got it. So, okay, we have our basic words down. Where does the guide take us next in the actual, dining timeline?
It moves chronologically, which, well, makes sense. Part 2 in the source is all about the first step for many, making a reservation.
Ah, booking ahead.
Yeah, making sure you actually get a table, especially if it's a popular place or a busy night.
So what does the guide give us for actually booking? What are the key phrases?
The main one is simple. I'd like to make a reservation. That's your starting point.
Okay, straightforward.
Then they'll naturally need some details. The source gives you the typical follow-ups. A table for 2, please, or however many people.
Right.
Responding to at what time with, at 7 p.m., and then confirming the name under the name Smith or, well, whatever your name is.
And the example dialogue they include, it really shows how that flows. They ask the questions, number of people, time you give the answers, finishing with the name. It's quite a predictable pattern.
Exactly. It's usually just as straightforward exchange of that key info to get your spot saved.
Okay, so reservation made, or maybe you didn't need one, you just walked in. The guide's next section, part 3, seems to cover arriving, getting seated, and that first look at the menu.
Right. This is moving from the door to your actual table. The staff might greet you with, table for 2, or check your party size.
And you just confirm, yes, please.
Usually.
Yeah.
Then you'll probably hear something like, follow me, or right this way. And as you sit down, here is your menu. Standard procedure.
And then comes that moment. Maybe a few minutes later, the waiter returns. Are you ready to order? The source gives a really useful phrase here if you're not quite ready.
Which one?
Yes, I need a few minutes. That seems incredibly practical.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's polite, it's clear, and it just buys you that extra bit of time to decide without feeling rushed.
Yeah.
A dialogue snippet in the source shows this too. The welcome, confirming the table, being led over, getting the menu, and then the waiter giving you that space.
Perfect. Okay, so you've had your few minutes, you've decided. Now we hit part 4 in the source, which is kind of the main event. Ordering the food and drinks.
This is it. Telling them what you actually want to eat and drink.
Mm-hmm.
The guide offers the most common, polite ways to phrase your order, usually starting with, I'd like, or I'll have.
Right, like, I'd like the spaghetti carbonara and a glass of water, or maybe I'll have the steak, medium rare, simple, direct.
Exactly those patterns. And the source is smart. It also includes how to ask if you're not sure what to get.
Oh, asking for a recommendation?
Yeah, what do you recommend? It's a great question if you're feeling indecisive or want to try something the restaurant is known for.
And really importantly, it covers how to talk about specific needs. Things like allergies or, just preferences.
Crucial stuff. Phrases like, I'm allergic to peanuts, or maybe, no mushrooms, please.
Why is getting those specific phrases right so important?
Well, it directly affects what food you actually receive. And in the case of allergies, it's about your health and safety. Being able to clearly say, I cannot eat nuts or hold the onions, just ensures you get the meal you want, and importantly, avoid any problems. The source also mentions asking about general dietary options, too.
Like, do you have vegetarian options?
Precisely. Covers a really common query these days.
Okay, makes sense. Order's in, food's coming. What's next in the guide's flow?
Part 5 deals with interactions during the meal. So once your food has arrived, the server will often come back to check on you.
Ah, the classic check-in, everything okay, or how is everything?
Yes, exactly that. And the guide gives you the simple go-to response, yes, thank you. Polite confirms everything's all right.
And what if you actually need something during the meal, like more water?
The guide covers that too. Can I get more water? A very common request.
Simple enough.
And also, if the food is genuinely good, saying something like, this is delicious, is always a nice touch. Shows appreciation.
Nice. But the guide also includes what to say if something's not right, like if they brought you the wrong dish.
It does, which is very practical, yeah. Excuse me, I didn't order this. It gives you the language to politely point out if there's been a mistake.
Good to have that in your back pocket. The example dialogue for this part shows that check-in, how is everything? Very good, thank you. But then it also moves into potentially ordering dessert. Would you like dessert? Yes, I'll have the chocolate cake, so the conversation can continue.
Right. It shows that the interaction isn't necessarily over after the main course arrives. You might want coffee or dessert, so the ordering process can sometimes repeat in a smaller way.
Gotcha. All right, so meals enjoyed, maybe dessert finished. The guide brings us to the final stage, part 6. Asking for the bill and paying.
Yep, wrapping things up. The most direct phrase here is usually, can we have the bill? Or, remember.
Can we have the check? Depending on where you are.
Exactly. Keep that regional difference in mind.
And then the waiter will probably ask how you want to pay, right? The source mentions cash or card.
That's the standard question. And you just reply based on your preference. Card, please, or cash.
Okay.
The source even gives you that useful phrase for when you're paying with cash and maybe the change is small and you want to leave it as part of the tip. Keep the change.
Ah, yeah. That's a common courtesy in some places.
It can be. And of course, just ending the whole interaction with a simple thank you is always good.
The dialogue example they show really ties that final bit together. Asking for the bill check, getting it, saying how you'll pay, and the final thanks.
Yeah, it covers that essential closing transaction smoothly. Completes the whole dining out experience.
So, wow, we've basically walked through this entire guide. Covered the language you need from, even thinking about making a reservation.
Right through to paying and walking out the door.
Yeah.
And the source actually does a nice little quick review at the end, which basically summarizes the key stages we've just talked about.
Oh, yeah. What does it highlight?
It lists learning how to make a reservation, how to order the food and drinks, using those helpful phrases during the meal, and then finally, asking for the bill and handling the payment. The core steps.
And those specific phrases, those little dialogue examples, they really are the keys, aren't they, for getting through the most common interactions without too much trouble. Super valuable.
They absolutely are. Building blocks, like we said.
Yeah.
And the source, quite rightly, finishes up by stressing how important practice is.
Ah, the P word.
Well, yeah. Just reading the phrases is helpful, of course, but actually saying them out loud, maybe even just rehearsing them quietly to yourself, that makes a huge difference when you're actually, in the restaurant, in the moment.
It builds that kind of conversational muscle memory, I suppose. Makes it flow more naturally when the time comes.
Definitely.
And speaking of what's coming, the source actually gives a little hint about our next deep dive topic, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Right at the end, it mentions that the next area they cover is going to the doctor's office.
Oh, interesting.
And learning how to talk about your health in English. So another really practical, really important scenario for everyday life.
Definitely something we'll look forward to digging into for you. But for now, maybe just think about this, sort of building on the source's final encouragement. How could taking just a few of these phrases we talked about today, the ones for ordering or asking for the bill, how could practicing just those few open up a whole new level of confidence, maybe even enjoyment, the next time you decide to eat out somewhere English is spoken?
It's a good thought, because that's really the goal here.
Exactly. So as the source says, keep practicing.
And enjoy your next meal out.